some took offense to. Joining us now to discuss, Dr. Keith Ablow, founder of paintopower.com, the Ablow Center. And he's also our regular guest on Cancel Contagion. Dave Portnoy now, who helped hundreds of small businesses during the pandemic, past comments coming back to haunt him. Should he have been canceled by the magazine?
Well, no, and maybe Nantucket Magazine should be canceled for apologizing for the cover story on Portnoy. Let's remember, he's a bit of a shock jock. We're not about to cancel everyone, including Howard Stern and everyone else who uses intemperate language in an effort to be cutting edge or funny or outrageous. He raised $37 million and counting, and gave it away to 332 small businesses and counting who were threatened with being extinct because of COVID and the restrictions. This fellow has done a tremendous amount of good. He's from Massachusetts, from Swampscott, a baseball throwaway from Marblehead, where I grew up, and he's done a lot of good. Why would a magazine apologize for putting a guy on the cover who raised $37 million to help other people?
You know, Cancel Contagion, as we continue to highlight, it continues to the Kentucky Derby. The Derby was Saturday, but there were some criticism there off the tracks. The state song called My Old Kentucky Home, which is traditionally played at the race, sparked criticism from activists who consider that song now to be racist. Dr. Ablow.
Well, this one should be a layup, right? Because this song was seen as tremendously positive by none other than Frederick Douglass, the celebrated abolitionist, no friend of slavery, obviously. Stephen Foster himself was an abolitionist who spoke incredibly eloquently and with great energy about slavery needing to end. This is his song. So listen, it may have been played in various places or in theater that didn't have the best ideas at the time. There was some blackface or something where in theater when this song was played or part of those productions. This song inspired some of the greatest abolitionists of all time. How can it possibly be offensive?
Yeah, a lot of people, again, sort of confused by these two stories that we've highlighted here. How could these qualify to be canceled? But good for our viewers at home, they are set with these sort of symptoms that they can look out for Cancel Contagion. You compiled these. It's when you second guess speaking your mind, you feel you have things to say, but you don't really believe, or that you rather have to say things you don't really believe, caution others against speaking their minds, and you fail to stand up for others. And, you know, we list these examples here, and we've come on a few weeks to highlight them, but how common is it for people to feel like they have to adjust their viewpoints and what they can and cannot say for fear of being canceled in society?
It's tremendously common, and that's a tragedy. Because what do we embrace in this country? Freedom of speech. How are we going to advance our culture? By speaking our minds. And yet millions and millions of people are being incredibly cautious about what they say. They won't say things strongly. They won't share what they really feel because they're afraid of being canceled. And what's even in some ways uglier, they won't come to the defense of others being burned in the public square because they're worried about being labeled along with them. That's why I love speaking for Dave Portnoy, because he's done a lot of good. And you know what? I can take it. I've been canceled before. I don't know. Can you be canceled twice?
Well, we'll find out. Yeah, I mean, probably, honestly. You canceled all across the board. I always say that we're all a few seconds away from being canceled at some point, and it just depends on what you say. And, you know, I kind of smiled when you put up your Cancel Contagion symptoms, right? Because it just seems a little, you know, like we're joking around with it. But when you look at it, it's real. I mean, viewers at home, I mean, read this. You know, when you second guess speaking your mind or caution others against speaking their minds. I mean, how often do we do that? Or we say this phrase, well, you can't say that anymore. You can't say that these days. Or it used to be this way. You definitely got to stay away from that. You can't say this anymore. I mean, how often have we, that's a part of our normal language.
You're exactly right. And how did we get here? We used to say, make sure you say what you really think. This is what we'd tell young people. This is what we'd tell ourselves. Like, I got to figure out what I really think and find a way to put words to it and say it. That's going to reinforce my sense of self. Well, it still will, but people are terrified to do it. They're biting their tongues. And ultimately, this country relies on that kind of free exchange of ideas. We can't stymie our voices, or we won't be able to bring to this country and to the world the best of our thoughts.
Yeah, Dr. Keith Ablow there with Cancel Contagion. That franchise continues. There's always something to assess in this culture.